A Fulton County judge is now pushing his own agenda, and he's allegedly doing it with the help of Fani Willis. Now, Judge Earl Glanville, he had a secret meeting with the district attorney's office, right? A meeting that was later found out by his defense team, or by the defense team on the case, on the trial, in this YSL RICO trial of Young Thug. Now, you guys might remember that the judge was legitimately pissed off. I mean, this guy, he like stood up. He was like, get this guy out of here. Get this guy out of here. I mean, like, he was literally losing his mind, right? Now, this happened after his secret was released to the public, guys. Like, he even threatened the attorney of the defense that he will be held in criminal contempt for not disclosing his source. So the judge basically outed himself. The judge is basically like, by not even trying to deny it happened, he was more focused on who ratted him out, probably more concerned about what details he was about to leak out, but that's a whole nother story. But it pretty much tells you what really went down. But Donald Trump's attorney, or Donald Trump's co-attorney, co-defense attorney, I should say, because she actually represents Michael Roman, Ashley Merchant, was also involved here, as she argued that this was merely a civil contempt, which kind of further added to the frustration of Judge Glanville, who still doesn't know who snitched on him. So there's a mole out there, there's a rat, there's a leak, and Judge Glanville can't sleep at night because now the pressure's on him. In fact, the defense team is pushing to have the entire transcript of the secret conversation released, a conversation where it's alleged that prosecutors from Fani Willis's office intimidated a key witness who previously chose not to testify. After the meeting, Lil Woody, as he's known, that's his alternate name, whatever. So Lil Woody, he changed his mind after this meeting, which is why the conversation is so important to the defense, because they need to know what happened behind closed doors in the judge's chambers that changed within just those 2 hours. So watch how defense attorney Brian Steele fights to have this conversation open up to the public.
And then I will flag all those, and then anything else that you all wished for me to consider, you can mark, and then we can have a discussion about that.
Okay, and I'd like it done in open court as well, in Mr. Wing's presence, of course, and in open court.
Okay, I don't think he can do, until I identify it, Mr. Steele, and make rulings on it, he doesn't have the right to be present. You're the person that's present for him at that point in time because it covers privilege. It's just like if you had defects records, okay? You and Mr. Williams could not come to my chambers and review those records. You could, but he can't. Now, once I've ruled upon those, of course, I will copy whatever periods of the transcript, portions of the transcript that I believe are appropriate, and I will make other rulings in regards to sealing that particular portions which are not for any other review, and then you can take that to Mr. Williams, and all of you can talk about that.
I understand.
I know you've made an objection as to that, as to your client's presence, but for the privilege or for the in-camera review, he doesn't have the right to be there. I respectfully disagree, but
I understand that we are in disagreement, but I'd also like to then wait. What I said was an open courtroom. I believe that it should be done in open court as well, and that's under Article 1 and
okay.
the first in the.
I understand that. I agree with you about the open court. I understand about the open courtroom. I agree with you about the respective constitutional provisions. I disagree with you about the in camera. That doesn't apply to an open courtroom.
Now, this goes on for a lot longer, but you guys can see from this short clip that Judge Glanville is not giving the defense team his transcript. He's not giving them the transcript. And, and if he is, he's going to provide them with crumbs, bits and pieces. You can't really figure out the full story because many people believe that this whole ex parte conversation, it would get both him and District Attorney Fani Willis in trouble. Now, the belief is that they've basically been intimidating witnesses so as to kind of get what they want. That's what the belief is. That's what the allegations are. And that they kind of bend the rules in order to favor them in their cases. And The belief is that the judge and the DA are working together. Now, there's an instance here where Judge Glanville is embarrassed by Steele, and the judge basically said that, hey, he's going to seal parts of the ex parte conversation because of possible issues with attorney-client privilege. Glanville is saying that there's an issue, and that is why he can't provide the entire transcript to the defense. Now, a lot of folks are calling bull, and so is Brian Steele, the attorney here. He's calling complete bull. Now, remember, guys, by the way, if you haven't already, please take a second, hit the like button for the video. I totally appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel and sharing this video. You guys are absolutely amazing. You have no idea how much doing that helps out the channel. But guys, remember, there was a court reporter present when they had this conversation. So naturally, Steele has asked how this privilege would apply if the court was present within this meeting. And it's like Steele is kind of like taking him back to law school at this point. He's schooling this guy. And there can be no attorney-client privilege, according to Steele, under these circumstances. And do you know what Judge Earl said about this? He said that this is something that another body should resolve. Really, dude? Now, this has to be really frustrating for any attorney, especially if you have a judge who's seemingly biased with these rulings, one after another. And that's not just my opinion. That's the general public opinion that you can see with these proceedings. Other expert attorneys analyzing this trial, they're saying the exact same thing, guys. It's also not surprising that basically all these legal anomalies are happening in Fulton County, which is not good news for DA Fani Willis, because it's showing a side of the justice system that's extremely corrupt. Now, we're not even talking about guilt here. We're talking about a fair trial where a judge can be impartial. But, you know, despite the secret being divulged in the entire United States, Judge Glanville still chooses to keep things hidden. And the critics argue that this is not how things should be. In fact, unless, hear me out, unless things are much deeper. In other words, unless there's something much deeper going on here. Now, some analysts believe that the DA's office is heavily involved behind the scenes in everything that's happening here, because what I'm showing you is just a snippet of the entire hearing, guys, which now leads me to talk about something that the judge previously said about this secret meeting. Now, we've established that he now wants to seal these records, right? We've already established that. And that he's probably not going to be giving the defense team full access to the conversation. Remember the breadcrumbs we talked about earlier? Yeah. So now if we go back to when Brian Steele initially confronted Judge Glanville about this impropriety, he said something very crucial, guys. He said that if the case gets reviewed in the future, the records will then be made available, which would include this conversation. But now it's pretty clear that this is not going to happen. And it's also showing us that there's something wrong here. He doesn't want what was said inside that room to be leaked out to anybody else but them. So why is that? Why is that? What was said behind closed doors that was so incriminating that, you know, whether it's hell or high water, he doesn't want this information to get out? Because, you know, it didn't include this part, but the defense team actually cites various other cases that they want this judge to review. We're talking cases that support their argument against the judge. But there's a point here where the judge looks flustered. You know, maybe the attorney is too sharp for the judge. And you can kind of hear it in his voice because he stutters. After the defense team cites their point and their cases, these particular cases that support their legal argument, that their client, Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, has a right to be present at any critical stage of the proceedings, because Judge Glanville is not receptive to the idea of having an open courtroom to talk about these secret conversations. He doesn't want Mr. Williams to be there, which is very questionable in and of itself. And it's now raising even more concerns from the public as the outcry becomes louder and louder. So do you guys think that this judge is corrupt? I mean, guys, this is Fani Willis's office working on this case here. Fani Willis's office is the DA office tied to this case. This is the same Fani Willis that was trying to take Donald Trump down. Now, as far as I know, you know, for a fact, there's a lot of support to have him disbarred. Now, guys, this kind of reminds me of a previous video I did where I covered a lawsuit filed against DA Fani Willis and her office, a lawsuit filed by none other than Donald Trump's co-defendant attorney, Ashley Merchant. Make sure you guys check that video out right after this one. I'll leave a link for that either here or here, somewhere around here. If not, in the description down below this video, click on that link, check it out immediately. It shows just how much the DA's office is hiding from the public. Now, as always, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks so much for hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, sharing this video, and I'll see you on the next one.